Ciao, I'm Mario, a Swiss car guy on YouTube, and today I am in southern Italy. I'm on holidays. And even though I'm leaning against the guardrail here, it's very windy, the car has not broken down. I've just driven up here to record this video because I thought this was a nice location and you get a bit of view of the valley. I don't know if you can see it, it's very windy. But while I am leaning against this guardrail next to my car, it seems like the right moment to tell you the tale of 3 broken cars. And I will start with this one, which isn't broken anymore, but it was. Me being here in Italy has a direct connection to this car previously having been broken, because you see, I come down here to southern Italy on holidays about once a year, and usually in the summer, and before I come, I bring the car into the workshop to get a service. I don't service this car religiously, I just have it serviced once a year, which I think is more than enough, because I do like 15,000 kilometers a year, so it gets a service every year. So the same thing happened this year. I brought in the car to have a service a few weeks before coming down here. And then I got the call from the workshop telling me, Mario, we broke your car. And I asked, what do you mean you broke my car? Yeah, well, while on the test drive, the mechanic rear-ended another car. And yeah, I thought, well, it doesn't look so bad, even though there were like, here were the marks of the other car's exhaust. It was really funny. But yeah, it needed to be fixed, and it was the middle to end of July, which in Switzerland is like summer holiday time. So basically, body shops were not open back then. So not only did we have the problem that, no body shops were around, but also, this is a Lexus LS600H, which is quite an exotic car in Switzerland. So getting the parts needed might have taken a few weeks, because the whole bumper needed to be replaced, this thing, whatever, the grille needed to be replaced, the the headlights didn't need to be replaced. They could be saved. And also the radar for the cruise control didn't need to be replaced either, so that could be saved, which is a good thing, because a headlight, I think, is around 3,000 Swiss francs, which is about $3,000 US, and the radio and the radar for the cruise control is about 4,000 francs. So if these 3 parts had to be replaced, it would have been like, math, 10 grand alone these places. But fortunately they didn't. It still required a lot of work, because a lot of clips broke and had to be replaced, the bumper, of course. The whole front of the car was painted because I think this also had a bit of damage, and then you need to blend it in with the bumper. They did a good job. It's not perfect. I mean, I see a color difference between the fender and the door, but I know it's there, so I see it. But to the naked eye, it doesn't look that bad. And also, I'm quite happy they managed to do it, because within a week of them finishing it, I drove the car down to Italy. And it's all good. And to be honest, this wasn't the worst thing that could have happened, because, well, my bumper wasn't great. It had a large blemish here. It was full of scratches, not from me, of course, from the previous owner, but it wasn't in great shape. And I always said this is a driver quality car. It's not a show car. It needs to be good inside, but the outside is not that important. But now I got a brand new bumper. It's actually perfect, except for like the dead bugs and stuff, because down here in Italy it's warm and I drive the car. I have a new L, which is nice and shiny, not like before where it was really dull. And they also polished the headlights, because they were quite milky, and now they are not anymore. Something I wanted to do for a long time, but never got around to, and now the professionals did. Great. In order to match the new shininess, I even polished the rear Lexus badge, which was quite dull also, and now it's not so dull anymore. Oh, and then there was the part where the insurance adjuster called me. Oh yes. He asked me whether I wanted to have the car totaled. And I went like, you know what, for a little fender bender? And he said, well, it's between 8 and 10 grand of damage. And then I had to tell him that, this car is an exotic, and where am I going to find another one in the same spec and in the same color? And then he agreed to have the car repaired. But this is one of the dangers with these old cars. At some point, they become worth so little that an insurance might total a car out instead of replacing it, even for a minor fender bender like in this case. And minor in this case means like 10 grand in damage. The garage later told me that the clips alone were 900 francs. I'm still waiting for the exact invoice for my documents. So anyway, that was my story of the broken Lexus. Not a reliability thing, not the car that broke for its own reasons, no. Somebody else drove it and they rear-ended another car. Quote from the mechanic, well, it's a heavy thing and I didn't realize she would break that badly, but this car brakes actually really good. He just didn't pay attention. But shit happens, you know. Also for the mechanic, I guess it wasn't very nice for them to happen, but at least they fixed it, they made it all right, the car is good again, and I could go on holiday with it, which was the most important thing. So that was good. But I told you I was going to tell you a story about 3 broken cars. So where are the other 2? Well, obviously they are in Switzerland, but there is this Cadillac that I still have that I just spent 7.5 grand to have a few leaks fixed. And I drove it back from Aarborn to Zurich, to where I live. And that was like about a 1.5 hour drive, mostly motorways. And it did all right. It did perform really well. But my temperature gauge is broken. And during that trip, it started working again, randomly. And by working again, I mean it just went to max, all the way to max. So that was a bit worrisome. And of course, when it was cool enough, I stopped and checked the level of the coolant, and it was low. So I had to add about I think half a liter about, that's it. And my whole world came crashing down because we had just spent all this money on it, and it still apparently leaks coolant. That said, I have driven it, about 100 kilometers more since then, and the coolant level has not dropped since. So maybe it still needed a bit of bleeding or something, and now it's good. Hoping. But yeah, the Cadillac was giving me high temperature readings. I know it's not technically broken, but I mean the temperature gauge certainly is broken. But yeah, now the temperature gauge still shows basically pegged or nothing because I need to replace that gauge. I tried to change the sender, but that didn't change anything. So yeah, that's still broken, but the temperature on that car is a bit hit or miss, and I need to watch the coolant level because it likes to leak it out. Which leads us to the third broken car, the Trans Am. And I mean, while this car was in service, I was driving the Trans Am, and I had fixed my air conditioning, so everything was hunky-dory. I told the garage, hey, if you need it a couple of weeks longer, no problem. I have another car that I can drive, so easy, all is good. And then immediately after saying that, I basically noticed the car starting to rumble really loudly and vibrations coming from it, and it was really not a good feeling. And diagnosing a bit, I figured it out, it must be a wheel bearing, because the sound would change when I was steering heavy, when I was loading the car to one side or to the other side. And so wheel bearing. So I went to the mechanic next door to me, and he said, yeah, we have to look at it, bring it on Friday, and yeah. And I said, well, we'll just look at it. You won't replace the part, right? Because you have no way of getting the part in like a timely manner. And he went, absolutely correctly. It needs to be ordered from America. So in the meantime, I found a shop in Switzerland, in Aarborn actually, who sells parts for American cars. And they had the wheel bearings in stock. So I just ordered them and had them delivered and brought them to the mechanic just as a guess, because if it was the wheel bearing, he could just swap it over. If it wasn't, then, well, I guess I had some spare wheel bearings. But it was the wheel bearing. I think it was the front right wheel bearing, which was completely gone, and he replaced it with the one that I brought, and the car runs great again. So I had 3 broken cars, and I think, hopefully, I have 0 broken cars now. And not 0 because I don't own any cars anymore, but because my cars are not broken anymore. The Pontiac is definitely fixed. The Lexus is definitely fixed because I just drove it for like 2,000 kilometers since I repaired it, and it's been flawless. And the Cadillac, well, we'll have to see. I have to drive it a bit more to see how it behaves. But so far, all my cars are drivable and most work really well. So, 3 broken cars at the same time, mostly fixed by now. 3 good cars, 3 well-working cars. This was just a little story I wanted to tell you while I'm down here in the south of Italy, because when I am on holidays, I don't have much time to film videos and do stuff because I'm mostly busy with eating and sleeping. So I just thought a quick update video to show you that I'm still alive and that the cars are still around and they're fine, despite having had a bit of a problem. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Follow me on Instagram at SwissCarGuyMario, where I shared the story of the Lexus in real time. The other 2 I didn't, because a man can only take that much frustration. But also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more of this car, the other cars, me, south of Italy, even though I might not make another video from here. But that's it. Like this video if you liked it. Comment down below, what do you think of my misadventures with my cars? Also, and what do you think of the landscape down here? I think it's awesome. Comment down below, and that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.